Previously, on part 2 of the Blacksmithing a Knife series, we worked the metal into a blade form, drawing out the metal with various techniques. Then we looked over a really cool homemade belt grinder. So let us continue on. Alright, so back at the house. It's time to do a little cleanup on this thing. It's got all the scale and scum and everything on it, so before I go and put a good sharp edge on that, I'm going to go hit this on the bench grinder there with the a brass wheel and see how well we can clean this up, and then maybe knock some of the marks out of here with the grinder itself, you know, where I missed it with a hammer and, you know, got some pretty good rough spots in there. We'll try to clean that up a little bit and see what we wind up with in the end, and then get out the good old angle grinder and start putting a nice little edge on that thing. And then we'll take it back over to Charles later this week and we'll heat treat it. So let's get started again. Let's hit it right here. Looks good and dirty. Oh yeah. Should clean up pretty nice. Looks like with all the scale and all the burn and everything on there, we're probably going to need to knock some of that off of the angle grinder. It's on there pretty thick. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get out the angle grinder. I'm going to get an older disc on there that's got some wood burn on it, so that way I don't get too many scratch marks or grinding marks in it, because I want to just kind of clean some of that scaly stuff off of there, so that way it has a fairly clean shiny look, but yet a little crusty and a little bit rustic as well. So let's mount that thing up in the old vise and hit it with that. Knock a little of that off, and then we're going to hit it with the brass wheel on the bench grinder and kind of polish it out just a bit. So the main thing to keep in mind here is, of course, you're going to be throwing sparks, so make sure you got nothing flammable in the area. Make sure you wear hearing protection and also some gloves, because this thing will get a little bit warm doing this. So let's turn this noisy thing on, clean some of the stuff off it. Now so I got that about where I want it as far as cleanliness is concerned. I want to keep it rustic, so I want the black in there still. So I've got marks all over it from the angle grinder, from the wheel that I use, so I'm going to hit it on the bench grinder next with my brass wheel to kind of clean some of that up a little bit, and then we'll start laying an edge on it, and then decide whether or not I want to put a good finger hook in here. There's time to decide that while I'm cleaning it up some more. Now here, this is really begging for a finger hook. So I'm going to grind this out a little bit so that way there's a place to slip your finger in, because I'd really hate for my finger to slide over that thing. Alright, so it's time for experimentation. I haven't done this, but this here is just a good hard 30 grit grinding wheel. It's not a sanding wheel, it's a grinding wheel. So I'm going to what I've done is I've marked here in red where I don't want to grind. That's where I want to stop, here and here. I'm going to take this edge down and take it down up here a little bit at the top, so you get a smaller V coming in like that, and then start laying the edge down here. Now, one thing I did notice while cutting that and that is that this metal is incredibly soft right now. That's why we've got to go harden it and temper it later. But it probably won't take so long to put an edge on this time, unlike the prison shank Mark II knife that you saw me make. That thing was good and hard, so that worked out pretty well. So here, this is all nice and soft metal. We're going to go back and harden it later, so this ought to lay down pretty quick. So we're going to see how quick this chews into this metal, and I know it's going to leave a good hefty groove on here. So once I'm done putting that shape on there, I'll change out this wheel with that sanding wheel and then try to smooth that out a little bit. So let's turn this loud thing on. Okay, so I did that. Now I've got this set at a better angle. That way I can really get in there and have a look at it, because I don't think the grinding wheel is going to be the way to go, because I just made that one really nasty looking edge. It's just what you get when you don't have the proper stuff. But this will still be fun nonetheless, and that will clean up nicely with that. So I'm going to go back and hit it with this fine one, and we're getting a pretty good balance on that edge. It's already sharp up here at the top, so I'm going to have to really work the rest of it and try to clean that up. That just looks nasty. But here we go. Prepare for noise. So there we go. There's our shaped out blade. Probably go hit it with a Dremel a little bit to clean up some of the mess that I made on there. I mean, it's really kind of difficult to do that kind of stuff on the angle grinder, but hey, the whole thing is rustic. You know, I might just leave it that way. But anyway, the edges there is already pretty darn sharp in places, but before I go and lay any kind of edge on this, I'm going to want to go heat treat that. It's got a nice balance here and right there, the taper looks good. So next step is going to be heat treating, so I'll get in touch with Charles and find out whenever it's going to be good for him to come back in there and bake that in the forge a little bit, and then I'll show you how that's done. Thanks.